Let's rock.
Hey, this is Kevin Kane from the Grapes of Wrath. Let's rock.
Welcome back to Let's Rock. We spoke about, oh God, probably right around the time COVID was really taking form. I think about June 2020, I think we talked.
Okay.
And now, from what I hear, it's back for you.
Well, I've never had it before. My wife and I both managed to avoid it up until last Friday. We went for our COVID booster, and that's when we got it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, ironically enough,
How are you feeling now?
not bad. I mean, uh, most people I know who've had it, I think, have probably had it worse. It's been okay, but who knows why? Maybe it's because we've been on top of our vaccinations and boosters and whatnot that, it wasn't that bad. It was like a weird, bad cold flu mix that was really intense for 2 days. And yeah, I feel like I'm mostly over it.
Good, good. Knock wood. I
Yeah.
haven't I haven't had it yet.
Okay.
So I hope it doesn't pass through internet cables.
No. Well, I shouldn't be infectious anymore anyway, according to the pharmacist.
Okay, good. That's good news. So I guess a lot has been going on in the last 4.5 years since we last spoke. So give us a little bit of an update on what you've been doing with Grapes and the Pikes,
Hmm.
and also the upcoming acoustic shows that you're doing in Ontario.
Okay, well, I'll start, I guess, with Pikes. Pikes started recording an album in the fall of 2019, and we were recording it in Nova Scotia. And at the time, I was still living in Toronto, and then I came out to Nova Scotia at the beginning of March to do some more recording, and that was right at the beginning of COVID. And I remember, hearing the news reports every day, like, it was like a storm coming or something like that. And when I flew home, like on March 7th or something, the cab driver was telling me how crazy things had gotten over the last couple of days. And yeah, that's sort of when COVID hit. So we didn't get to finish the album, get it out. I don't even remember. I think the album didn't come out till 21. So it just really kind of stuck a pin in all the music activity. So Grapes had some shows that were canceled, and Pikes were planning on putting on a record and touring on it, and that all had to be canceled. And we were also still promoting another Pikes album, Force of Love, and that kind of got kiboshed as well because of the lockdown stuff. And so yeah, it was I guess post lockdown. My wife and I kind of went, what are we doing in Toronto anymore? We don't know if the old life we had is ever going to come back or whatever. And so we moved out to rural Nova Scotia. Brian from the Pikes already lives out here. He lives like 25 minutes away from us, and a much different lifestyle. And, slowly but surely since then, things have kind of picked up again. Like Grapes had, I think we had our busiest year that we've had, I don't know, in ages. Last year we played, I think we played like 10 shows, which is a pretty good year for us. And Pikes probably played about 20, 25 shows. So yeah, it was good. Brian and I have a duo called Kane and Podvan. We've started playing again. I've started doing solo stuff again, and then the whole Grapes acoustic thing came about because uh, Grapes came out to the Maritimes for the first shows we've had out here in 33 years, believe it or not. And when we played at the Carlton in Halifax, there had been some loose discussion about the fact that we had to do two sets and we were doing two shows on one of the days. So that's four sets of music plus encores. And I said, oh, maybe we should do an acoustic set. And that's how they advertised it. And the reaction to that was really, really good. That was the one they advertised as being an acoustic show, sold out like in 2 or 3 days. So we did the acoustic set, went over well, and then we had one show coming up this winter, opening for the Pikes in Burlington, Ontario, and Chris, our drummer, often leaves the country, during colder months, for somewhere much warmer, and so he said, "Yeah, it doesn't really make sense for me to come home for one show." And I said, "Well, agreed." So I asked if it would be okay if we did it acoustically, and they said, "Yeah." And then out of that, I said, well, maybe we should get a warm-up show or two. And the reaction to the acoustic thing has been really, really good. I guess it's because you know, it's a much easier thing for people to think about going out and seeing than maybe a full rock band. I don't know. It's but the reaction has been really good. So yeah, Tom and I are heading out. We're gonna do an acoustic run in Ontario, and we're looking at doing some other stuff this year as well.
Nice. And you answered one question. I was going to ask you how pissed off Chris was that he doesn't get to be a part of this, but he doesn't have to worry about it because he's sitting in the sun.
Yeah, he when he saw us do the acoustic thing in Halifax, like I'd gone up and I played a few songs, and Tom was playing his songs. He goes, "You guys should actually go out and do this. This is really good." And so it's like, okay, we still have some band shows. We've got a couple of festival dates so far this summer, and you know that's it's really nice to be able to do both things, because we'll be doing different material for both things. With the acoustic thing, we're playing songs that we just don't do as a band, that just don't make sense to do as a band.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how you do it. Do you both play guitar or is
Yeah,
playing bass?
we're both going to play guitar. Tom has talked about maybe playing bass on some stuff, but we'll see. We haven't actually done any shows. Ottawa is going to be the first show. Um, and we have done this before, like years ago. Tom and I did an album, Grapes album called Field Trip, and in fact, that album, it isn't available. I think you can find the songs on YouTube. Most of the songs, not even all the songs. But a label is actually trying to get the rights to reissue that, and to do a vinyl version of it, which would be really cool. So there'll be those songs. And yeah, Tom and I did do this years ago, and apparently somebody said they saw us play where Tom and I went up and did an acoustic set first, and then a full band set. It's like I have no recollection, but that sounds like something we would do.
Yeah, the reason I asked about that bass line is because I was I was listening to you guys last night, just getting
Mm.
ready for this, and good Lord, the bass line on "You May Be Right" is just nasty, and I would
Mhm.
love to see him play that acoustically. It adds so much to the tune.
Well, it's pretty different when we have done that acoustically. Uh, it's a different thing. But yeah, we were talking about that on the phone, because Tom lives on the other side of the country, so we won't be able to get together until we play the Ottawa show. But we're kind of sending recordings back and forth, and he was sort of saying, well, for some songs, maybe I should play the bass part on acoustic, and because they're very sort of they're counter melodies. So I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that'd
It,
be
it's going to be different, obviously. It'll sound different.
absolutely for sure. But that's the fun of an acoustic set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly like the record, and you want something different sometimes. Okay,
Yeah.
listen, I don't want to make you feel old or anything, but you guys formed in 1983.
No, we've been playing together since 77.
Okay, so let me change. Man, you're making me do math here.
Yeah.
So it's like 47 years you've been together?
Yeah, well this will be 48 years, because it's 2025.
Good Lord, man. Like
Yeah.
when you get together as a band when you're first starting out, I remember an old quote from David Lee Roth where he said, "In this business, you're here today, gone later today."
Hmm.
Do you honestly think when you form a band, I mean, I don't know how old you were then, but like 19, 20, something like that, right?
No, no, no. I met Chris in 77 when we were both 13 and Tom
13.
was 11. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how long we've been playing together. We learned our instruments together essentially. I mean, like I think I'd been playing the longest out of the three of us. Chris had just gotten a drum kit, and Tom had an electric guitar, and his mom got him a bass. Their mom got him a bass for high school band, or no, not even elementary school band. Not too long after that. So yeah, we essentially learned together.
So you were like 18, 19 when the first EP came out.
Yeah, yeah. When the first EP, we were still teenagers when we recorded it. Yeah, like I think our first show that we did down in Seattle was at an all ages place. Like we weren't old enough to get into a bar.
Wow. But when you get together and you're making your first EP or your first album, first full length, do you honestly think that 47 years later or 45 years later you'll be not only still playing with that band, but the original members? I mean,
Of
that's
course not. No, I mean, at the time, I can remember when we first started playing together, and the Stones had just put out Some Girls, and everybody's talking about how old they were, and it's like they'd only been together, like they hadn't even been together 15 years, and people are going, "Oh, they're so old, they should pack it in, they're over the hill," blah 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 blah. So, to us, we thought, well, that's the shelf life of a band. You only have a few years. We didn't consider that we'd be doing this many, 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 many years later. And I've tried to figure out what bands have been playing as long as us, and I know the DBs got together this year and did a few shows, and that lineup, the original lineup, first came together in '78, so same vintage as us, and Pointed Sticks out of Vancouver, who were like a huge kind of inspiration to us early on. They still have the same original members as on their first single from 1978, plus the keyboard player who joined them the year after that. So, yeah, that's an original lineup as well. But I don't think I can think of any others that have ran longer.
the only one I can think of, and it just changed a while ago, was ZZ Top.
Well,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't count when one guy's dead. So, yeah, like that's the thing currently, even with Aerosmith, when they're out touring, well, their drummer hasn't played with them in several years. Same with U2. Um,
Right, right. And
he's still quote unquote in the band, but he doesn't play anymore.
right. I mean, I guess Rush, but he wasn't an original member either.
No, he was not.
So, holy crap, man, that's something to be proud of.
It is. We're incredibly proud of it. We think it's a really big deal. I'm kind of like, thank you for pointing it out because I think it's a bigger deal than most people kind of let on. We're almost at 50 years with the same three members.
My God, it's a family. I
Yeah,
mean, no, two of the three are family, but like it has to be a brotherhood, right?
it absolutely is. Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. It's just shocking to me. So I'm gonna ask a question. I think I know the answer to it. Uh, why no new Grapes music?
Well, um, getting together to make a record like with the three of us all in the same place is going to cost money, and so then we lay out all the money to do it, because there aren't any record labels who have offered us money to do it, and then we have to press it ourselves, and we'd be lucky to break even uh, after doing all of that. And I'll just say, not everyone in the band is into doing it, anyway. but we'll see. We'll see. Tom and I both have our own recording setups, and it music is just made differently. So we'll see what we might come up with. Um, but yeah, I mean that's the main reason is because the recording industry just doesn't exist anymore the way it once did. So going into a recording studio and setting up microphones on a drum set and all of that, that's kind of an antiquated system now. So if we were to make music, it would have to be done in a different kind of way.
Are you still writing together though? Do you,
Well, we write on our own. Tom and I are both, writing to each other or writing ourselves and sending songs to each other. So we'll see. I mean, we're not disinterested in it, and we'll see how things go with the acoustic thing because it'll bring us together more, and maybe we'll have the chance to work on songs more.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the answer I thought I was gonna get was it's just not worth it to make an album anymore unless you're, Metallica, Stones, Britney Spears, what's her name again? Taylor Swift. You know, then you can get the billions of sales, but
Well,
it,
even I mean, it's never going to be what it once was, and I remember years ago a manager saying, you make the song to sell the shirt. So music is now almost a side effect of the merchandising and all the other stuff. It's the same with going out on the road. It's not nearly as profitable as it once was. There aren't nearly as many places to play. Like, for a rock band, there's somebody with an account on Instagram where they post, all the different shows that were happening in Toronto back like in the 80s and stuff. And it was insane how many good shows were going on. And now Toronto is, what, twice as big, and they've got a tenth as many shows. It's live music has just gone in a different direction, and that's actually got a lot to do with, I think, why there's been so much interest in Tom and I going out with a couple of acoustic guitars. Things have scaled way, way, way back. Um, you know, so we still hear about the Taylor Swift shows where people are paying thousands of dollars to go to a show, but the reality for most musicians is the venues just don't exist the way they once did.
right. I was talking to Lawrence Gowan, and
Mm.
he said back in the day when he was coming up, like first starting playing the clubs in Toronto, they would do 3 sets, and in between sets, he'd run down the street to the other bar to watch Triumph or Gatto or some other band that was playing at a club, and then he'd run back and do his gig, and the other guys would come and watch him for a while, and it was that close. There were that many shows going on every single night.
Yeah,
It,
that was the same in Vancouver. I remember the Savoy and the Railway and the Town Pump were all within walking distance. And I remember, yeah, we were playing a show at the Railway once, and between sets, we walked down the street and saw Rain Parade playing in a Chinese restaurant, and then and yeah, you used to be able to venue hop. Um, wow, what
place
a good memory.
the good old days when music
Yeah.
was important. I guess it's just not
Yeah.
as important for some reason these days. Attention span is what I blame it on.
Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, cell phones have definitely changed our relationship to just about everything. Like, you know, the whole idea of saving up your money to buy an album and then listening to the album over and over because you spent money on it, and all of that time investment. Now, if you want to hear something, you find it online, whether it's on a streaming site or YouTube. And you find it immediately, no matter how rare it is. Not only do you find that album, you can find the demos, you can find live recordings, you can find, rejected tracks, alternative mixes, all of that stuff. And it's there's just too much out there.
Absolutely. But it's not the same. I was thinking about that. I was listening to one of your CDs yesterday. I don't have any of your vinyl, but I have a few of your CDs. There's nothing better than looking at the liner notes and just going through everything. And it was an event buying a new album.
Yeah. I remember, I mean, with a lot of records, because I'm actually selling a lot of my records now, but I can remember I look at it and it's like, oh, I remember exactly where I was, when I bought it, what the weather was like, uh, and it brings back all these emotional connections. I remember, bringing it home, listening to it for the first time, who I might have been with, whether it's my mom's, at my mom's house in my bedroom as a kid, or which apartment I lived in, or, whatever. There's all these associations, and I doubt very much that somebody goes, "Yeah, I remember the first time I looked that up on Spotify or Tidal or whatever." It's like it's not the same connection to music.
And it's even in your video, right? For all the things I wasn't
Mm.
sitting on the bed, just looking at albums and just I don't know, there was a joy. I miss it. So I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm glad we got to live it.
Absolutely.
Um, and a friend of mine, he's got a 16-year-old daughter, and he said that she's got a turntable in her bedroom, and all she listens to is vinyl because you know, she's looking to make that connection to music too. So I don't think as a concept or as whatever, it's completely dead, but it's certainly a lot more niche. It's not the mainstream thing that it once was. I mean, that was the only way we could listen to music, that or cassettes. Even cassettes, I can remember when people would give me a cassette, a friend or something, and I'd go, "Oh, that was the first time I heard, the third Big Star album." Like I still remember what my boombox looked like, when I played that particular tape, and then I can remember actually being at Tom's place up on the roof of his building and bringing the tape over and saying, "Hey, we've got to check this out," and sitting on his rooftop on a summer night. Um, all these connections that you have to music when you acquire it in that way.
Right. And it hasn't changed. I've started collecting again and the old vinyls and I just go to flea markets and stuff like that. But I
Yeah,
got the Stevie Wonder album the other day and I came home and I just sat there and looked at this thing for 35, 40 minutes, the whole length of
yeah,
the album. I just stared at it and wow, he played this instrument, he did this. Wow, it's amazing. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a special feeling. So
yeah,
the shows in Ottawa. Congratulations, by the way, because Ottawa is, I'm just checking my notes here, February 26th, sold
yeah,
out.
yeah,
And you're in Burnstown on March 1st and 2nd. Guess what? Sold out.
yeah.
Well done. This is
Thank
great
you.
news for you and shitty news for me because I didn't get a ticket. Uh, Congratulations. It's great.
Well, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we had, again, to our surprise, more inquiries and offers than we were able to honor this time out. So we're planning to get back there in October and do some more Ontario and Quebec shows. So hopefully we'll be in the hood.
Excellent. That's good news. Kind of a strange schedule, though, for you. I mean, you're in Ottawa, then you go what to Guelph, and then you come back to Burnstown, which is right outside Ottawa. That's a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that wasn't the plan. Well, it kind of was. It has to do with logistics, such as where are we going to rent a car? So, uh, we had to go in and out of the same airport in order to rent a car. So it just made sense. Okay, fine, let's do it in Ottawa, and that means it's Southern Ontario, and we had inquiries north of Toronto and all of that. That'll have to wait until the fall.
Okay. Do you take requests, by the way?
We listen to requests. I don't know if we will necessarily honor it.
I was listening to Away last night.
Okay.
I think that would be a fantastic tune in an acoustic setting.
Yeah, maybe we'll give that one a shot. That is on the long list right now, of stuff that we might do. And in fact, the last Grapes show we did as full band, we were playing in Penticton, and there was a family sitting in the front row, and um, uh, the daughters of the family, the whole family were Grapes fans, and they came up and they said, would you play this song? It's our favorite song. And so we went up to our dressing room and we relearned it in the time between sets, and we played it as our first song of the second set, which was fun. I'm glad when the band can do something loose like that. But that's something that I happen to know the words to. If we don't know the words, then there's less of a chance we'll try it.
That brings up an interesting question. Of all the songs you've written, how many could you just pick up a guitar and play right now? Like, can you remember all the songs you've done?
No, no, there's some that I have almost no recollection of. Like occasionally, I'll look at my SOCAN list of all the songs I've written. It's like some of them I have no recollection of. They were written and that's it. I mean, most of the stuff that was released, I can sort of, oh yeah, right, but I don't know the words. I might know a line or two, but that's it. Every time we've got to play shows, I've got to relearn songs.
All right.
Because we're talking about hundreds of songs, so I do have to relearn songs. Especially too because I play in different things. Like with the Pikes, since I've been with them, I've probably learned 50 songs, and that's the other thing with them. When I started with them, it was to tour Big Blue Sky. So we played the entire album. We played B-sides. It was two sets. So I think I had to learn 25 songs for that. And then since then, we've recorded a couple of albums together. We've taken other songs out of the mothballs. So yeah, that fills up a certain amount of brain space. And then Grape stuff. I've done I think 4 solo records and then that's not counting records I've done with other people and other projects.
Yeah, that's a lot of music.
Yeah, and then so I'm working on new songs now. I have a project with my wife. We've got a lot of songs on the go. It's just like yeah, my brain is only so big.
Huh, I hear you. I hear you. So if I had gone to the show and yelled out, play away, you'd just say like, fuck you. We don't
No,
want.
that's one that I might be able to pull off because I do that when sometimes solo, like when I'm playing acoustic shows. But many other ones, it would be just, and I wouldn't say that to you anyway. I
I
would just say not today.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask you a couple rapid fire questions. Some are stupid, some are interesting. Just kind of quick questions, quick answers.
Rapid fire. Pew 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 pew.
Okay, so yesterday I was on the interwebs and I looked up the top 100 Canadian albums of all time. And it was a chart magazine. I don't know if you've heard of this one. Now and Again was number 47 on the top Canadian albums of all time, which I think is pretty impressive. I
Oh,
would
not bad.
I would have put it higher. I think
Thank you.
just for reference, I was very surprised by this. Sloan Twice Removed was number one. Neil Young's Harvest was number two, and for some reason I can't explain, Moving Pictures by Rush was number 15, which kind of.
Mm.
What is your go-to best Canadian album of all time?
Oh boy.
Tough question.
Yeah, it is. It is. If I'd had time to prepare, I'd have a better answer. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you my all-time go-to album period because my tastes change. Like I don't listen to the same stuff that I listened to say 20 years ago or whatever or 50 years ago. You know, I guess that's it. I listen to something and then I'm kind of done with it and then I move on. I did go through a heavy uh one chord to another period. I listened to that record a ton. But yeah, I'm having trouble thinking of other Canadian records that I was you know
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Sorry, if I had the list in front of me, I'd probably be able to look through it and go, "Oh yeah, that one's great. Oh yeah, that one's great."
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of hip on it. There was a lot of Neil Young. There was a lot of Rush. There was a lot of Kim Mitchell.
I listened to the first Cowboy Junkies record a lot. I remember when that came out. The one that's just the four of them recorded in their garage.
Yeah. Do you remember when your first first full-length album came out? What year was that? 1980.
5.
Do you remember the other bands that you were competing against, or was there competition back then, or was it just friendly?
Well, it was friendly. I don't feel like, it was like, oh, they got that gig. We should have had it because it seemed to me there were so many gigs out there, you know, so many places to play, so many festivals later on. It didn't feel competitive in that regard. I liked Slow's EP a lot. I think what's it called, Against the Glass. We played around that time. We played with Change of Heart when they were on their first Canadian tour, and I bought their record from them. I thought that was really good. I liked Pig Farm's EP. Yeah, there were a bunch of bands. The 5440's Green record.
They're
Boy,
great.
oh boy. Yeah, I remember these scraping through the scraping through my brain here.
It's a long time ago, isn't it?
Oh, Asexuals. They had an album called Dish. I was really into that record. It was kind of a replacemency Soul Asylum vibe.
There seems to be a real camaraderie with Canadian musicians more so than other countries. You know, people playing with other bands, you and the Pikes, and there's other, I saw Kim Mitchell a while ago, and his keyboard player was in Honeymoon Suite, and you know, these guys all go around like it seems like a very close-knit community.
It's a small ecosystem. There aren't a lot of there's not a lot of people to to necessarily pick from. So and that's the thing. If you need somebody to play in your band, there's a good chance that if there's another musician who's still playing their instrument, like a lot. That's the other thing. A lot of people just like venues, they just move on. They do other things. So yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with it. It's like whoever's kind of left standing ends up playing together.
Right. Yeah, I like that though, that everyone keeps helping each other out and moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, one question, and now this is a tough one because I always try to get one question that you've never had before, and
Mhm.
it's pretty tough to do when you've been in the business as long as you have. So I'm going to try this one. Hopefully you've never, and it might be the most important question of the day.
Okay.
What's the best way to eat leftover pizza?
Hmm.
Wave, cold, or
Oh
toast?
God, no. I am not a fan of cold pizza. I always put it on tin foil and then put it in the oven, and so that I can get the crust a little crisp.
Perfect. I got to ask the important questions. It's what makes the world go round.
Yeah. Well, that was an easy one to answer.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Have you ever had that one before?
No,
Okay, good. I've
but I think about it a lot because always have leftover pizza.
exactly, and it's an important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's recap this. Wednesday, February 26th in Ottawa at the Great Canadian Theatre Company.
Yeah.
March 1st and 2nd in Burnstown at the Neat Cafe.
Yeah.
And I don't know the names of the venues, but you're also in Guelph. You're also in
We're at Sonic Hall in Guelph, and we're at whatever the community theater is in Burlington. I don't actually know the name. It's a fairly generic name. It's like community theater or whatever.
okay,
Performance center. I think that's what it's called.
okay. And yeah, I wish I could be there, but as you know, you're sold out, and I'm super happy for you with that.
Well,
And
we'll be around again, like I said.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I've all these years of being a fan, and I've never seen you guys,
hmm.
and it's starting to piss me off a little. So next time you're in town, I'm paying attention, and I'll get the tickets next.
Okie doke.
Uh, so good luck with that. Thanks so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Best of luck. Enjoy Ottawa when you're here.
Thanks
And
very much.
all right, and I'll see you in the next show.
Yeah, we'll see you in October.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks.